The MP, Labour MP for Oldham, West and Royston, it's Michael Meacher MP. Thank you.
It's tremendous to see so many of you here today, because it's public pressure, it's the big demos, it's the climate camps, it's the powerful media messages which are driven by you, the activists, that have far more influence on events and on governments than many people realise. Never underestimate the power of public pressure and of public demands which are motivated and focused on achieving key targets. It's public pressure that actually stopped the King's North coal-fired power station. That's a tremendous success. It was public pressure that kept going the Vestas occupation in the Isle of Wight. And I tell you, we're going to win on that one as well, because we are going to revive a wind power industry in this country. And it was public pressure that actually made a third runway at Heathrow, which is an absurdity in terms of our climate change condition, made that into an election issue, which I believe in the end is actually going to stop it. And the fact is, it was, even where the government has done something, it's public pressure which has pushed the government into national climate change budgets, including aviation and shipping, which are so important, in order to ensure that we reach our 80% cuts by 2050. Public pressure works, and I tell you, we're winning, and we're going to go on winning, because we have a long way to go, and Copenhagen is a very important milestone, but it's not the only one. Now, I'm very optimistic about Copenhagen. We're not going to get a legally binding commitment because the US Senate hasn't passed a climate change bill. It's a tragedy, but they haven't. But it is very encouraging that all the big countries around the world have now made commitments to big cuts, and that is extremely important. And what I believe we're going to see is that the big continental blocs, we're going to see the EU and India, we're going to see China, and including the US, making a clear political commitment, which is then going to be sealed and ratified next year. But of course, it has to be a global strategy, because it's a global crisis. And if all the other countries in the world which are going to be part of this are going to join in, then they'll only do it if we in the West, in Europe and America, which started all of this with the dirty industrialization, will only take part if we take the lead and make really big cuts in order to show that we are deadly serious about tackling climate change emergency, which is the greatest threat the human race has faced on this planet. And that's why we should be making 4 demands today. The first is for a massive public investment program to create green jobs on a massive scale. We have a recession which has been created by the bankers. The way out of it is by creating 1 million green jobs. It's perfectly practical, and that is what we're demanding. Not giving more billions to the bankers, but taking back billions from them in order to create those green jobs. And above all, not making massive public expenditure cuts as some parties are proposing, because that will simply plunge us into an even worse recession. And the second thing we should be demanding is that we have an end to any suggestion of any further coal-fired power stations. No more coal-fired power stations in this country. And I tell you something else. We have got to demand an end to internal flights in this country and switch instead to a high-speed rail network. Other countries have done it. We can certainly do it in our small island. And the third thing we should be demanding in this country is a massive switch to renewable sources of energy. We have more renewable sources of energy, wind power, wave and tidal power, than virtually the whole of the rest of Europe put together, but we're not using it. We generate a pathetic 4% of our electricity from renewable sources of energy. In Scandinavia it's 40%, and that is the best way to end fossil fuels in this country, by switching rapidly and determinedly towards an economy driven by renewable sources of energy. And the last point, my fourth demand, is energy efficiency. Energy efficiency is enormously important. We waste an enormous amount of energy in our cars, in our homes, in badly insulated buildings. The fact is, energy efficiency, it creates jobs, it protects the environment, and it protects the precious money of pensioners and other low-income families. So I say today, it's great to see you all here today. Copenhagen today and the world tomorrow. Thank you.